Have you ever noticed how your mind works against you? You can laugh 100 times in a single month. Yet one embarrassing moment from years ago can suddenly appear in your mind as if it happened yesterday. Maybe it was something you said, a mistake you made, a rejection you never expected, or a goodbye you never wanted. The strange part isn't that you remember these moments. The strange part is that your brain keeps bringing them back, even when you desperately want to move on. Most people believe this means they're emotionally weak. But psychology tells a very different story. Imagine two people walking through a forest thousands of years ago. One notices a beautiful sunset. The other notices footprints left by a predator. Which one is more likely to survive? Nature never rewarded the person who admired beauty. It rewarded the person who remembered danger. Your brain inherited that survival system. Long before it learned how to make you happy, it learned how to keep you alive. That's why painful experiences leave deeper marks than joyful ones. Psychologists call this the negativity bias. It's one of the most powerful cognitive biases ever discovered. Research has repeatedly shown that negative experiences capture more attention, are processed more deeply, and are remembered longer than equally positive experiences. Not because your life is worse than everyone else's, but because your brain quietly believes pain contains important information. Think about it. If someone gives you 10 compliments and 1 criticism, which one keeps echoing in your head on the drive home? Most people don't even have to think about the answer. Your mind immediately returns to the criticism. Not because it's true. Because your brain treats it as useful. Useful for survival. This explains something most people never understand about themselves. Your memories are not chosen by happiness. They're chosen by importance. And your brain often mistakes emotional pain for importance. That's why one failed relationship can feel more real than years of love. One public embarrassment can overshadow dozens of proud achievements. One betrayal can make trusting people feel dangerous. But here's where the story becomes even stranger. Your brain doesn't simply remember painful moments, it edits them. Every time you replay the memory, your brain quietly changes tiny details. Not enough for you to notice. Just enough to make the emotion feel familiar. Over time, the memory stops becoming something that happened. It starts becoming part of who you believe you are. And that's exactly where the real problem begins. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The memories that hurt you the most don't just stay in your mind, they slowly begin shaping your identity. Imagine carrying a backpack every single day. At first, you barely notice its weight. But every painful memory becomes another stone dropped inside. A rejection. A betrayal. A failure. A humiliation. None of them seem heavy on their own. But after years, the backpack becomes so heavy that you forget what it felt like to walk without it. Your brain does something remarkably strange. Instead of asking, "What happened to me?" it slowly starts asking, "Who am I?" That subtle shift changes everything. A person who experienced one painful rejection may begin believing, "I'm not lovable." Someone who failed at a business may quietly conclude, "I'm just not successful." One painful event becomes a permanent identity. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Once your brain forms a belief, it begins searching for evidence to support it. Not because it's trying to deceive you, but because the human brain craves consistency. If you secretly believe you're not good enough, you'll notice every mistake, every criticism, every awkward conversation. But your achievements, your compliments, your victories, they quietly disappear into the background. Not because they aren't real, but because they don't fit the story your brain has already written. In other words, your memories stop reflecting reality. They start protecting a narrative. And perhaps the strangest part is this: your memories aren't stored like videos inside your brain. Every time you remember an event, your brain reconstructs it. It fills in missing details. It strengthens certain emotions. It weakens others. In psychology, this process is known as memory reconsolidation. You're not simply remembering the past. You're rebuilding it. Again. And again. And again. That's why two people can experience the exact same moment, yet remember it in completely different ways years later. The event wasn't different. The story became different. Carl Jung once suggested that what remains unconscious quietly directs our lives, and we often mistake those hidden patterns for reality. Modern neuroscience reaches a surprisingly similar conclusion from a different direction. The brain isn't trying to replay history with perfect accuracy. It's constantly predicting the future based on what it believes will keep you safe. If your past taught your brain that rejection is dangerous, it will notice rejection everywhere. If your past taught your brain that people can't be trusted, it will constantly search for proof. Not because the world is always dangerous, but because your brain would rather make a false alarm than miss a real threat. For our ancestors, that strategy increased the chances of survival. Today, it often increases anxiety. It creates overthinking. It makes old wounds feel permanently alive. But here's the most hopeful discovery. The story inside your mind isn't carved into stone. The brain remains capable of change throughout your life. Every new experience, every healthy relationship, every act of courage, every moment that challenges your old beliefs, gives your brain new evidence. Little by little, the old story becomes weaker, and a new one begins to take its place. So the next time an old painful memory suddenly returns, don't ask, "Why can't I forget?" Ask something far more powerful. Is this memory showing me reality? Or is it showing me what my brain learned to fear? Because sometimes, the hardest thing to leave behind isn't the pain itself. It's the identity we unknowingly built around it. And perhaps the greatest freedom isn't forgetting the past. It's finally realizing, you are far more than the stories your brain keeps replaying.